It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Welcome to another deep conversation on Vinci to the World, your personal journey to health, wealth, and happiness. My name is Dino Delpesh, your host. I am an entrepreneur and a bodyweight strength coach. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's all good. Just stick around and you'll soon find out. My aim with this segment is to have very deep conversation with extraordinary people from the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and abroad. Now, these conversations are designed to bring you greater possibilities and insights into living a healthier lifestyle physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and wait for the big one, financially. Now, if you're the kind of person who attaches value to living a healthier lifestyle, personal development, and self-growth, this is your conversation. Hey, what's up? What's up? It's that time of the week. You better know what's up. It's Vinci to the World. Today, I'm going to be inviting a very amazing person who I've get the opportunity to observe. You know, I wouldn't say that I've get the opportunity to know this process yet, but through this conversation, I assume that I'll get to know him a little bit more. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce his surname right, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong. Today, I'll be having a conversation with Luckie Sigouin. I'm not sure if that's correct. He's an online vegan fat loss coach. And I know some of you guys have been interested in the vegan lifestyle. Even me myself has contemplated it, but there's all these questions going on in your head as to, how would I do it? What would I eat? Would I miss meat? And the interesting thing about Luckie grew up on a farm where he spent most of his life eating a lot of meat. Okay, so without further ado, I'd just like to bring my boy up for us to have this interesting conversation so he can share with you his own experience of moving from being a meat eater to now being somebody who's living the plant-based life and doing it the healthy way. Hey, Luckie, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Everything is blessed. Everything is blessed. Welcome to Vinci to the World.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Well, first thing first, just to give you a little briefing, Vinci to the World, Vinci meaning short for the island that I'm from, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay, so it's more or less acting as a bridge between this small island where I'm from and all the experts and professionals like yourself who's out there in the world.
Cool, so man. That's awesome.
I just did a quick introduction of who you are, but usually I like to start with this quick icebreaker. Maybe you can just give a bit more about, who is Luckie? And in case I pronounce the surname incorrectly, you can update me on that.
Yeah, of course. It's a Sigouin. It's French.
Sigouin.
Sigouin.
Oh, Sigouin.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. That's helpful. So, Luckie, tell us a bit about you, man. Like, what's your story?
Ooh, I can make it short. I have a long story. Yeah, man, I've just always been someone that went for, the best way to describe me is I always went for the things that were unachievable. I always went for the things that people thought were impossible and thought were weird. And it's allowed me to travel the world and accomplish amazing things. And in the realms of fitness, which is what I'm most passionate about and where a lot of my experiences come from, I had the opportunity to experience every single spectrum of fitness. I've been a bodybuilder, so like super lean, like 4% body fat. I've been a power lifter, so like super big and strong. I've done I'm just looking behind me. I've done like Ironmans, Spartan races, like played basketball in college. So yeah, I just experienced a lot in the realm of sports, which allowed me to level up in my life and build the mindset that I have now.
Nice. I can see that. That's really great. So that means you have a wealth of experience to share.
Yeah.
And the super big question is, like, if you had to have a superpower, right? What would be your superpower and why?
Oh man, I didn't expect that. That's super deep. I don't like giving superficial answers. A superpower. Well, actually, the ability to not have to sleep, but be like recovered all the time, right? Like live like I've slept 10 hours, I would get so much done. I could make such an impact in the world because I wouldn't have to sleep. That would be the most amazing superpower you can have, because I can generate anything from that. Yeah, that would be my superpower.
I wasn't expecting that at all. That's an interesting answer. That's so dope. It reminds me of Elon Musk when I think he was asked the same question, and he said that he wished if he didn't have to eat. You know, he could have taken all the nutrients. You know, he did. I know, right? He was saying how he spends so much time eating. He can use that time, you know, to get even more done and make a greater impact. But that's dope. Man. That's dope.
Yeah, not sleeping and like being super passionate and driven, you can get so much done, right? With that extra like 8 hours a night.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, like, you know, before, you know, transitioning to becoming a vegan, like how has that been, the before and after experience for you? What was that like?
Well, like you mentioned, like I grew up on a farm, and we were very much like my dad was a hunter, and meat was always a big part of our life. And when we moved, so we were in the city, we moved to the country. I was like, oh, we're gonna have some horses, we're gonna have some cows, we had chickens, we had geese, we had, man, I think we had like 15 cats at one point. We had over 100 chickens. Wow. We had a pretty big farm, and like we killed our own chicken every year for our meat. Like we grabbed fresh eggs in the morning from our own farm. And I don't know, like it was just how I was raised, right? I was basically conditioned into it because it's how I was raised. And then when I went vegan, I just happened overnight. It was like a decision that I made. The story of why I shifted was I was a big power lifter. I was 240 pounds. I'm 6'4", and I was training with a buddy of mine who was a fitness model, and he was like, "Hey, I have to stop by somewhere after our workout." I'm like, "Cool, let's go there." We walk to the friend's place, and there's like a runway, like high fashion model runway in the apartment. What kind of friend do you have? He's like, "No, it's my agent for modeling." And then she saw me, and she's like, I see something behind those big chubby cheeks. And I was like, okay. She's like, well, you know, if you lose some weight, maybe you can do some modeling. So I was like why not? Like I've already done bodybuilding, I've already done powerlifting. So that night I went on Google. I'm like, what diet's gonna allow me to be skinny, right? To fit in the clothes. And then vegan came up. Like vegans are skinny and weak. Wow. I'm like, well, I don't care if I'm weak. I just need to be skinny. Wow. And then I switched my breakfast from, I was literally eating a dozen eggs every morning, right? Not whole eggs, probably like 3 whole eggs, but like a dozen eggs with like a cup of oats, half a cup of blueberries, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. I ate the same shit, every day for 3 years. So like I remember that breakfast. Wow. And the next morning when I went vegan, it was like a bowl of frozen blueberries, dates, and bananas. It was a huge shift overnight.
Yeah, that's a big shift, man. Like how did you feel in your body, you know, making such a transition immediately?
I felt terrible, to be honest, but I really wanted to fit in the clothes. And what I've learned later on why I felt so bad was because my body was detoxing. Right? Like I cut out dairy, which produces mucus in your body. I cut out meat, which was just destroying my gut. So my body was cleansing, and I didn't do it in a smooth transition. Like I just went the next day. So my body was forced into heavy detox right away. And it took me a good 2 to 3 months of like heavy detoxing before I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. Like I never knew this, but my nose was basically blocked my entire life, and I didn't know until I went vegan. I was like, after I did my detox phase, I was like, oh my God, there's no tension here. I'm like, I can breathe properly. I've never felt that before. And I realized it's been blocked my entire life, but it was just my level of normal, and I didn't know that it was blocked.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like it reminds me of the conversation I had with George when we were talking about, you know, body awareness, you know, and how movement, you know, tend to make you more aware of, you know, how you're feeling and what's happening in the body. Because sometimes we live so long normalizing certain feelings, we think that's okay when it's actually not, you know. And it's interesting that you speak about that detox phase, because I know a lot of people, when transitioning from something that they're accustomed to something new, they always go through some phase that is uncomfortable. And I've heard it a lot, especially in with the keto diet. There's the keto flu, but this is the first time I'm actually, hearing this, that even when you're transitioning from eating meat to the vegan lifestyle, there's that phase of discomfort that is normal, right?
It's normal, and it varies in levels of intensity, right? If you're eating I was eating 3 chicken breasts every 2 hours for 5 meals a day, plus a dozen eggs for breakfast. So for me to go vegan was a huge shift on my body, right? So I went on both opposites. And also my amount of fiber drastically increased. So my gut was like, what's happening? There's way too much fiber right now. So there is that adaptation process, right? For your stomach to get used to it and for your body to cleanse itself, depending on how clean you were eating before. Right? So that's like a little adaptation phase. I don't want anyone to think that it's harsh, like a harsh detox. It's not. But if you're eating McDonald's several times a day, it's going to be pretty harsh because you're drastically going to be cleaning your body.
Definitely. So how would you suggest to an individual who is considering shifting, what's the best way for them to, handle such a transition?
There's 2 ways. One of them is to either do it with guidance, right? Like that's what, for me, for like what I do is when people join the program, if they're not vegan, they have to go vegan. I don't work with non-vegans, right? So now they have guidance of what to eat and how to include everything. But personally, I didn't have guidance. And I just went one shot. And if I could do it over again, I would change things. I'm going to post on my Instagram, I think last week, where I say change 1 meal a day for a week. So for example, you want to transition week 1, all your breakfasts are vegan.
Oh yeah, right? I saw that. That was dope.
Right? So you're slowly increasing the amount of fiber. Your gut has time to get used to it. And the important part, you get to discover new recipes. Because, someone that's not vegan, I tell you you're vegan, you're like, what am I eating? Carrot sticks all day? Right? You have no idea what to make. So 1 meal, 1 week breakfast, the next week change your lunch, the next week change your dinner, and then change your snacks. And then within a month, you've basically you've gone vegan. And you've had time to adapt to the increased amount of fiber. You have time to discover new recipes, which is the important part, because it's overwhelming to be like, I can't eat this, but I don't know what else to eat.
Definitely, that's so true, and that's usually a major problem with a lot of people who who want to become vegan, and then they're struggling with the right type of food to eat. And guys, like, I've seen what Luckie has been eating. He's very public about these things, and it looks amazing. Like when I see your post, I can tell, oh, this food, there's a lot of colors, and you can tell there's a lot of taste, And also my girlfriend, she was considering, she is considering going plant-based, so I told her that we'll be having this conversation. So this is something that she's quite excited about herself. And I think that's one of the things that she was usually struggling with. And not only that, is that, she always feel, because she's so accustomed to eat meat, she's not feeling fill, she's not feeling fill, and she says she's not feeling fill. What do you think can be a major reason for that?
And sorry, in terms of feeling full?
Yeah, when eating more plant-based food. Yeah, lack of fiber.
So she's not feeling full?
Yeah, she's not feeling fill. She find when she tried eating plant-based food for the entire day, she feeling all this craving. She always feel like she need to be eating.
Because she's probably severely under eating. The thing with plant-based foods is that it's really rich in fiber and it's low in calories. So in order for you to hit the same amount of calories that you're normally eating, like, you have to put effort into it. Like, you actually have to focus and make sure you eat enough food. Because the number one mistake that people make is, if you go vegan without touching the processed food, right? Like, you just focus on whole foods, which is what most people should do, right? What everyone should do. Then it's so low in calorie, rich in fiber, rich in nutrients, that the receptors in your stomach, like, hey, I'm full because of the fiber, and there's so many nutrients that my nutrient receptors are like, hey, I'm happy, I have everything. But the thing is, it's so low in calorie that you're probably getting a fraction of what you need to be getting. So you need to make sure you eat enough. So when you first start, like, track your food just to make sure you're eating enough. Good problem to have, to be honest.
That's so true. That's so true. Especially if weight loss is your goal, definitely you're inside of that deficit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. There was one thing I want to share about switching over. Actually, do you mind if I share that?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just posted this on my Instagram, but a lot of people that want to transition, right? I just like to offer a little bit of a shift in perspective. Like, yes, you can do it for your health reasons. Yes, you can do it for the environment. Yes, you can do it for animal cruelty. But one aspect that I think people underlook is the spiritual aspect as well. And like from an energy perspective. So, when you hang out with that one friend that's just super negative, and you come back from hanging out with them and you're just like, oh, I'm done. Like, I feel depressed. Like, I feel sad because I hung out with this negative person all day, right? That's just from hanging out with someone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone's experienced that, so everyone can understand that the energy of other people affect you, right? So now if you grab a piece of meat that's dead energy, first of all, that's one thing to acknowledge. It's dead energy. It's not alive anymore, right? Whatever trauma or fear it had before it was killed is in the meat. That's energy stuck in the meat. And then you're taking that in. You're not even hanging out with it. You're putting it inside your body. How do you think your body is going to feel with that? So you think people are going to feel more anxious? People are going to feel a bit more depressed? Maybe a little bit less vitality? For sure, because you're taking in that dead, stressed, traumatized energy. That's just like a perspective that I like to put out there for people.
Yeah, that's really dope. And that reminded me of I recently watched a crash course video recently. And one of the things that the author noted was that our entire body is recreated almost 4 to 3 times within our entire life, right? And we know that the basic building block of the body is a cell, and then our body uses the nutrients and the energy from the food to create those cells. And you literally become what you eat, over maybe another decade, after that another decade, and as time goes by, that's how aging, that what also determine how quick you age as a human being. And that's one of the reasons why me myself have been considering, the shift to a more plant-based diet, because one of the thing that really pushes me is longevity. I like to be able to live for as long as I can, looking and feeling as young as I can. And I realize, a plant-based approach is the best way to achieve such. And it encompasses everything that you say about the energy that we get from the food, because a lot of these meat, they get a lot of cruel, death, and all that cortisol in the blood from the bull, it's still trapped in that meat somewhere or the other. So it more or less would have that effect on your body, how you're feeling, and just your energy level, more or less,
Yeah, there's
so
never been
that's very
as many
interesting.
sick people in the world right now. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But one of the things that's not really, it worries me a bit, is that there's so many sick people in the world who's not aware that they're sick. Like you said with your nose, you weren't aware that your nose was blocked until you made that shift. Like, is there any other things that you became more aware of as you transition into the vegan lifestyle?
Yeah, actually, which actually reminds me of the point that I wanted to say earlier. So my recovery for when I was training, that was a huge one, right? That drastically improved because the huge levels of inflammation from eating the meat just went away. So that's how I was able to train 15 hours for Ironmans and be completely fine, right? And when I was training 4 hours a week for bodybuilding, when I was eating a bunch of meat, I was exhausted. But now I'm training 15 hours and I'm fine. Right? So there's a huge difference in terms of recovery. Obviously, my energy was better. I was sleeping better. My gut health was better. That drastically improved as well from when I was eating all the meat. And one thing to consider, and again, it just comes down to shift in perspective, right? And in understanding that everything that we do is based off conditioning. That's what every decision we make in our life comes down to. Right? So if we think about the fact that we were born in eating meat, then for us it's normal. So for us to go outside of that conditioning is weird. But if you grab someone that was born and raised vegan and you tell them to eat meat, it's weird for them.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they've been conditioned to. So once I started realizing, I was like, okay, like just from the conditioning aspect, I was conditioned to eat meat growing up because that's what we thought was the best. But then it was like, I need to make a shift. I'm like, it's just about conditioning. That's all it comes down to, right? If it wasn't popular to eat meat, everyone would be vegan.
Yeah.
If it was promoted by the media that like eating meat is bad, everyone would be vegan because it's conditioning.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
So I have to throw that out there. That's all it comes down to. If you want to change something, just change the conditioning.
Yeah, definitely. Like we're creatures of habit, you know. Like right now, I'm reading this book by Jim Quick, Limitless, and he speaks about, you know, like how the habits that we have makes who we are, and more or less, you know, habits can more or less be changed. You know, it's not really getting rid of it; it's more or less, you know, replacing it with something else. Like you said, if you know, if it was normal for everybody to eat meat, and that's what the media push out, that eating meat is a bad thing. Eventually, that motivation of fear would, you know, push us, you know, to transition. And I think you also hit a good key on motivation. Was, you know, you did it because you wanted to get into a particular size to become, you know, a model. And it's interesting, that's where it started, but I know now that's not the thing that is motivating you to continue.
Now it's because I feel so great. Like honestly, I started feeling great, and I didn't have any obligations to stay vegan, right? Like you never, like I still don't have obligations to stay vegan. As much as I built this whole brand around veganism, I still have no obligation to veganism. But I feel so freaking good, and I've seen so many good results. Why would I make the dumb decision to go on the other side? For me, recommending meat to someone is like me recommending cocaine to someone. It's not good for you. Don't do it. Right? That's how I feel about it. You shouldn't do it.
Okay. Yeah. You know, something that surprised me is that, you know, I was surprised that there are people who are vegan but they're still fat. Like, how does that work? Like, what do you think is the major cause for that? Like that? No, that was a big surprise to me. I was like, how can you be vegan and you're fat? Like, you know, and I know of people here on the island. We don't really say have people who will label us vegan, but we have like a Rastafarian community, and Rastafarians are more or less, they are like vegans. You know, they focus on more plant-based food. They don't eat meat. You know, I am not even sure if they eat eggs. So and I'll see the fat Rastafarian. So
So as you know from being like in the fitness world, there's many variables to that, right? So one of them is if you eat whole food plant-based and you overeat on your calories, you're still going to be fat. Doesn't matter how clean you eat, right?
Yeah.
If you eat 5,000 calories being whole food plant-based and your body can only handle 2,000, you're going to be fat. That's pretty much it at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's one thing. People, you can still overeat on a whole food plant-based diet. If people aren't active, right? You can be plant-based but not be active and overeat too much, right? And the other thing is now it's become harder to not have more fat as a vegan because there's so much processed food now. Like I went vegan 7 years ago. It wasn't really cool to be vegan 7 years ago, right? Like you didn't have the options that you have now, like all the freaking vegan chocolates, vegan cookies, vegan ice creams, like vegan everything everywhere. It's on every freaking label, right? But that didn't exist 7 years ago. So I was forced to eat whole food plant-based. But now when people make a meal, they're thinking of, oh, I need some fake meat. I need some, like, whatever. There's always like some type of processed food somewhere. It's like, you don't need it. If you focus on whole food plant-based, you let the fiber fill you up, you let the nutrients fill you up, you're fine, right? So those are the two reasons. Is there's so much vegan junk food that people think it's healthy because it's vegan, but it's not. And people are overeating.
Yeah. That's definitely basic love thermodynamic, energy in, energy out. But like what is, say for example, what is your go-to whole food as a vegan that you usually have on stock? When you're going to the supermarket, you'll definitely pick these up.
Oh man, a lot of things. It's like frozen fruits.
Okay.
Yeah, when I go to Costco, like frozen mangoes, strawberries, raspberries, mixed berries, blueberries, kiwi. I love smoothie bowls. Those are so good.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
like sweet potatoes, quinoa, the beans, the lentils, and all
yeah.
that. So yeah, I have my staples, but definitely like I never run out of food at my house. I always have fruits, especially
That's
during the
dope.
summer.
That's dope. You know, the fact that you're saying that, like, I usually have a conversation with my neighbor because here in the Caribbean, we have a lot of fruits on the trees, you know? So, like, people don't really appreciate the privilege that we have, like, to have fruits that is there on the tree. You can go and pick them and use them, you know? So it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, fruits, you know, frozen fruits. Like, here in the Caribbean, the idea of frozen fruits to people would be really weird, you know?
Yeah, of
But it
course.
just it
Man,
just shows it how important.
you have to eat with where you live in the season,
Yeah.
right? Right now it's summer, cold, fresh fruits feels good, right?
Yeah.
When it's winter, vegan stew, some chili feels good. Me having a hot chili during summer doesn't feel good,
No, it
right?
doesn't.
So it's not refreshing, right? So like, just like for you to have like, when it's super hot outside, you don't want to have like a warm mass chili. Like if you'd be like, this is uncomfortable, I don't want to eat this.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
you have to eat with the season and where you live too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, that was a lot, man, and that was a lot of value. Just like, you know, I'm just taking it all in, you know. But there's a very interesting part of the segment that I call Vinci Trivia. You know, that's where I ask my guests 3 questions about the island here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so far, just to put you on the spot, no one has ever gotten all 3 questions correct. Okay, so
Oh.
now you stand the chance to be the first, you know, to be the first person to get all 3 questions correct. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go for it, man. I'll give my best shot.
Let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna just
Am I
bring up
allowed
the
to use
PowerPoint quickly.
Google?
No, you're not allowed to use Google.
I was like, I have my second monitor beside me.
That won't be fair to everybody else.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first question is, who's the current Prime Minister of the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Is it A, Sir James Mitchell? Is it B, the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves? Is it C, Dr. Goodwin Friday? Or is it D, the Honorable Milton Cato?
I hesitate between B and D. I'll say D.
D? Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves.
I almost had it. It was between those two because those are the two names that came out so smooth out of your mouth because you've said them before. The other two were like, you haven't said them that often.
Yeah, that's true. That's a point. That's
true. All I was listening for. Like, I don't know the answer.
Wow, you make a great negotiator, man.
Yeah.
Because the other guy, he was our first prime minister, so automatically everybody should know him on the island. But Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is our current prime minister.
Okay. I'm gonna go
Okay, question number 2. Yeah. The island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has how many island and keys? Is it A, 2, B, 12, C, 32, D, 6?
Did you try to control your voice when you were saying them?
No, I get what you're doing, and I gotta mix it up.
Yeah. How many islands? I think 2 is too little. I'll go for D.
You go for B. Is that your final answer?
Oh no, D, 6.
Oh, D? Okay. The correct answer is the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has 32 island and keys.
Oh shit, that's a lot.
One of yeah, it's a lot. I think we are one of the only islands that have that much islands connected to it.
Crazy.
So we have like a main island, which is the bigger mother island, and then we have a group of island and keys that is like at the tail.
Nice.
So when you're planning your next vacation and you're thinking about a place go island hopping in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
There you go.
Okay, the last question. Okay, moment of truth. The island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is located in A, the Caribbean, B, Africa, C, Jamaica, D, the Pacific Islands.
Pretty sure you guys are down south from me. So, man, geography was not my strong point in school. I'll say A. I feel like it's A.
That your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. The island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is located in the Caribbean, and you're correct.
There you go. 1 out of 3.
But that's good. That's good. That's like the average score for most people.
There you go. The first one, if I would have trusted the tonality at which you said, I would have gotten 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because you were really close. You know, a lot of people don't usually know where St. Vincent and the Grenadines is because it's so small. You know, it's literally a dot on the map. And I studied in China, so it was always difficult for me to tell people where I'm from. You know, and even though I tell them where I'm from, they'll only know the bigger islands like Jamaica and Barbados, Trinidad. You know, so I'm not surprised when people don't know anything about this island. So this is an
I've
opportunity.
heard it before. I had a friend go
cool.
there.
Oh, nice.
Where, again, this might be super far, but where is St. Lucia?
St. Lucia it's north of us. It's exactly north of us.
Like really
It's the
far?
next island. And no. It's like I can see St. Lucia if I'm on the far north of my island.
Okay. Because I have a buddy that he owns a company where he sells sea moss and he gets it from St. Lucia.
Cool.
He just does a back and forth trip all the time. It's the most amazing sea moss ever.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we use the sea moss a lot to make drinks as well, and some people use it in food.
Yeah, we use it in food, we use it in everything. We heard of it because of Dr. Sebi.
Again, it's what?
You know who Dr. Sebi is?
CB, yeah, I've heard about him before. Yeah.
So we know of that because of him, because we've been following some of his protocol for eating.
Oh, nice. I need to check him out. I've heard about him a lot, but I haven't really taken much of his content. So I'll definitely check that out.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because he was healing people, right? And then the government got him.
Yeah.
And then Nipsey Hussle was making a documentary on him.
Wow.
And then we know what happened with that. And now Nick Cannon is continuing the documentary. So it's gonna be a very powerful documentary when it comes out.
Oh wow, that's dope. Okay, wow, that's good information for me here. So that's one of the reasons why I like speaking to other experts, because the information is so overwhelming and just a wealth of knowledge just to connect.
Yeah.
Well, man, Lucky, thank you for coming on and having this conversation with me. I don't know if there's any final things that you love to leave, for listeners out there. Like this podcast would be streamed on a local news media here on the island. So before you even visit, people would more or less know who you are, and even my audience as well, who's right now meat eaters. I have one person in my program who's actually a vegan. One individual, which was quite surprising. So this will be a lot of value for him as well. So I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say, but the floor is yours.
Honestly, that if ever people have questions, that they can just reach out. All right. I'm always on Instagram answering questions. My handle is basically my name put together. But yeah, I love answering questions. I understand that some people are at different steps in their journey towards veganism. And obviously there's so much that I could share, but I don't know who it would connect with. So I'd rather if you guys ask me a personal question, that way I can answer it directly.
Nice. And I just okay. Luckie Sigouin, right?
Yeah.
I got you, bro.
Thank you.
No, that was a powerful conversation with your boy Lucky, an online fat loss vegan coach. Okay. I've always emphasized the importance of having somebody who has that wealth of knowledge to guide you, through the process. And just to recap a few of the things that Lucky has hit on is that, the transitional period is usually one that, should be managed. He has had that experience of moving from being heavy meat eater, not even an average meat eater, but a heavy meat eater, transitioning, severely into the realm of being a vegan. So that detox phase is very important. And also, that enlightenment that you feel as a result of transitioning is another thing that was mentioned during our conversation. And just the whole idea of the energy that you brings into your body, and the benefit that comes with it. So Lucky, I just want to say thank you again, man. This was a really interesting conversation, and it's very interesting how I invited you to join me on this conversation because when I was reading, I had a little assignment and the question was, who's one person who you like to spend more time with and invite them to a conversation? I was thinking who this person is, and I couldn't think of anybody else but you because I've been following your stuff for a while, And I was like, man, this guy is really cool. And even your story on a whole, that can be for another conversation in the future, is just inspiring. So thank you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure connecting with you, with the audience. And yeah, I'm super happy to be here.
Blessed. You've made it to the end of another deep conversation on Vinci to the world. And I hope that this conversation has brought you a ton of value. As I said, that my aim here is to act as a bridge between two worlds, that of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that of the network of experts I've had the opportunity of connecting with throughout the years. Now, to ensure that my mission here has been accomplished, all I ask is for you to leave a comment in the comment section stating what top 3 insights did you gain as a result of this conversation. And also, if you like, you can also leave one actionable step that you can take in the next 7 days that is going to elevate your personal development. I'm Dino Delplesh, your favorite bodyweight strength coach. One love.